Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Sports Show's NBA recap here on the Sports Talkline Network, where we talk sports 24/7, 365. Tonight we will be looking at the Dallas Mavericks versus San Antonio Spurs game. So let's get right into that in the first quarter's action. Kristaps Porzingis came out hot for the Mavericks as he would make a big three to start things off before scoring 7 of the first points for Dallas. Doncic would hit a fading 2 early on, and the lead was 11-4. Both teams would go a bit cold until Lonnie Walker for the Spurs was able to nail a big 3 to cut into the lead. But Kristaps Porzingis once again would hit another 3 and set the tone for the Mavericks game plan. Demar DeRozan was doing his best from mid-range as usual, attacking the rim, getting fouls. Lamarcus Aldridge also had a big dunk on a clear out from Walker to cut the lead to 14-10 for Dallas. So Luka Doncic had a really impressive first half and drove for 2 of his 19 first quarter points. Aldridge would hit a big 3 again before Doncic would respond with a 3 of his own. So the teams were lighting it up from beyond the arc. Aldridge hit not 1, but 2 more 3s, and the lead was cut to 21-19. Dallas would take a timeout, but the Spurs would hold defensively before Rudy Gay gave San Antonio their first lead of the evening with a 3 of his own. Patty Mills, the Australian, would come right back with a stop by San Antonio, and he was fouled. Looked like a shot, but it didn't really matter as off the inbound play, he would nail a big 3, and the Spurs had their largest lead of the first quarter, 25-21, and their largest lead of the night. So Luka Doncic would set up a nice alley-oop for the Mavericks before Lamarcus Aldridge would nail another big 3. Luka, like I said, was having a brilliant first quarter. He would find Willie Stein for the flush. Demar DeRozan would respond with a spin in the lane for 2 of his own, but Doncic would pretty much take over the quarter. 2 big 3s capped off by this bomb to make it 37-32. So Rudy Gay would cut the score to 37-34 as the first quarter came to an end. Doncic finished the quarter with a huge 19.6 rebounds and 5 assists. So as we went into the second quarter, the kid from Compton, Demar DeRozan, would get an early layup before Porzingis nailed another 3. That seemed to be the quarter of starting things for him. The Mavs were shooting 6 of 11 from beyond the arc. And try as DeMar DeRozan might, he could only do so much with his 2s. It was countered with a Jalen Brunson drive for the bucket, and one pushed the lead back to 43-38. A Brunson 3 shortly after, a Tim Hardaway slam, and Tim Hardaway would nail a 3 of his own to force Greg Popovich to take a timeout down 10. The score was 48-38 at that point. Like I said, DeMar DeRozan was doing all he could for the San Antonio Spurs, but it was just raining 3s for the Mavericks on Friday night from the AT&T playset. As Hardaway Jr. would hit another 3. There seemed to be no stopping the Mavs once Luka drove and ditched to the perimeter. Teams would trade buckets and turnovers until the Mavs would head back to the line to make it 57-40 with 7:20 left to go in the first half. The defenses for both teams picked it up a bit as a block party ensued on both ends. Keldon Johnson would score a pretty little reverse layup by the Spurs, but they were still down 59-45. Dallas had 2 quick buckets to push their lead to the largest of the night at 18 before San Antonio would wake up a bit. So DeMar DeRozan would attack, and for 2s and trips to the line. Lonnie Walker was able to help things out, cut the lead out of 10 with a big 3 of his own off a Dallas turnover before Johnson took a pass from Walker and brought things down to 8. So Tim Hardaway Jr. would stop the bleeding for Dallas with a 2 of his own, and the teams would go into the half at 68-58. DeMar DeRozan had 15 points to lead the Spurs, while Doncic had a ridiculous 21, 6, and 7, well on his way to another triple-double for the evening. Let's get into the second half action. So down by 10 to start the third quarter, the Spurs came out trying to get back into the game. Lamarcus Aldridge would hit a big 2 and they would get some stops on defense before Keldon Johnson would get the offensive rebound and put it back in to cut the lead to 70-62. The Mavericks would respond thanks to Hardaway Jr., who threw down 2 of his 21 points. Patty Mills would pick things up for the Spurs as he hit a mid-range shot before whatever this was between DeMar DeRozan and Brunson as they kind of comically bounced off each other. You need to make that shot, D. So after Aldridge and Hardaway would trade buckets, Luka Doncic had a nice little spin move after starting the half cold. Lonnie Walker would fire back with a 3 of his own for San Antonio Spurs as they just weren't going away. So not to be outdone, the big man for the Mavericks was also having a nice game. Kristaps Porzingis was hit a fadeaway 2 before finding Vassell for a 3 of his own. He would hit another big 3 as the young player was shooting the ball well tonight. Burke would respond with a 3 of his own for the Mavericks. And just as Rudy Gay would cut the lead back down to 3 with a 3 of his own for the Mavericks, just as Rudy Gay would cut back the lead down to 10 with a big 2, Johnson found Porzingis on the lob pass, and the quarter would end at 95-85 for Dallas. Both teams would score 27 points in the quarter, kind of low scoring by today's NBA standards. Johnson would get an early tip on an offensive rebound before Patty Mills would hit a 2, and the fourth quarter would grind down to a snail's pace. So lots of fouls and whistles. Rudy Gay would hit a 3 on a second chance possession to cut the lead back down to 8 with 9:19 to go, and it looked like we had a game on our hands. So Hardaway was trying to make sure that it wasn't with a big slam of his own that caused the Spurs to use another timeout. The Spurs really couldn't take advantage of Doncic on the bench, and he would check back in at 7:18 to go in the game and right away make an impact. Bring the lead back up to 108-98 with a jumper. Trey Burke would hit the bucket and 1, and it was hard for the Spurs to catch up when they weren't getting any stops. Rudy Gay would come down and miss the 3, but Aldridge was right there for the tip-in. The score was 111-104. The Spurs were just kind of hanging around. With 4:35 to go, Luka Doncic would back in with another 2. And after another trip to the free throw line by DeMar DeRozan, the Spurs would start getting the stops that they needed. Aldridge would back down on the post. He got the lead to 6. Another stop and another DeMar DeRozan foul on Luka Doncic, or fouled by Luka Doncic, his 5th of the game. And he would cut the lead to 4 with 3 throws. Looked like things were going to come right down to the wire, as after Porzingis miss, DeRozan would drive and get right back to the line. The score was 113-111, and San Antonio had multiple chances to tie things up, bring it to overtime. A jump ball between Johnson and Brunson would be knocked out of bounds by Porzingis, and DeRozan was fouled and a chance at the line to tie things up. He missed one, and Doncic would head back the other way and basically seal the deal for the Mavs. Huge bank shot, and the lead was back up to 3. And after another Spurs miss, he would find Brunson for the 3-pointer, and the Mavs were back up 6. Rudy Gay would hit a late 3 to make it interesting, but the Mavs would hold on for the 122-117 victory over the Spurs to move to 8-7 on the season, while the Spurs dropped to 8-8. Like I said, it was a huge night for Luka Doncic. He ended the game with 36 points, tying a season high, 9 rebounds, and 11 assists. Porzingis had 21 points, 8 rebounds, while Hardaway Jr. also had 21 points. The top scorers for the Spurs were DeRozan with 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Lamarcus Aldridge had 26 points, 9 rebounds, and Keldon Johnson had 17 points and a big 14 rebounds. Rudy Gay also added 16 points off the bench in a losing effort. The Mavericks will take on the Rockets Saturday night, while the Spurs travel to New Orleans to take on Zion Williamson and the Pelicans Monday. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to Sports Talk Line's YouTube channel down at the bottom, and make sure to follow me on Twitter at Joshua Griffith0. So this has been the Sports Talk Line's unnamed sports show NBA recap of the Dallas Mavericks 122-117 victory over the San Antonio Spurs. I have been your host, and make sure that you follow the Sports Talk line where we talk sports 24/7, 365. Until next time, NBA fans.